Greetings to all. Welcome to Future of Business Academy. Today we are going to see the hot topic of the year, day 12. Under this, we are going to discuss two topics today. That is Election Commission of India and Delimitation. These both topic comes under JS2 paper. Now we'll have a detailed analysis of these two topics. Our first topic is Election Commission of India. What is this Election Commission of India is about? So about this Election Commission of India and its constitutional provisions, appointment, term, resignation, removal, their salary and allowances, and the independence of Election Commission, the new recommendations by Supreme Court, all those things we are going to discuss under this Election Commission of India topic. So first, the Indian Constitution established the Election Commission of India as a permanent independent body. It guarantees free and fair election throughout the nation. Also, it is a constitutional body because it was created directly in accordance with the constitutional provisions. The central and state governments share the Election Commission of India and it can be considered an all India body. The Election Commission of India is empowered by the Constitution to oversee, direct and manage the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha legislative elections. So, the State Legislative Council and State Legislative Assembly is applicable for these elections. Also, the state legislatures and the President of Indian Office, Vice President Office of India. So, these are all the elections conducted by the Election Commission. The holding elections of panchayats and municipalities are under the state government. The Indian Constitution establishes a distinct state election commission in every state for a reason. So, the Constitution pertaining to Election Commission of India has its own sections. Under the Constitution, it has the Article 354. It says that Indian Constitution addresses the Election Commission and its related provisions comes under Article 324. And the article includes comprehensive guidelines about the Election Commission membership and appointments, its procedures, their roles and responsibilities, and other relevant topics. So under Article 324 of the Constitution, it has made the following provisions about the composition of Election Commission of India. The Election Commissioner and that is the Chief Election Commissioner and however many additional election commissioners the President may from time to time designate will make up this body. The President is responsible for appointing the Chief Election Commissioner and the other election commissioners. The Chief Election Commissioner will preside over the Election Commission of India in the event that another election commissioner is appointed in his capacity. In order to support the Election Commission, the President may also designate any regional commissioners and he deems necessary after consulting with the Election Commission of India. Also, here the President will decide on the terms of service and length of the office of Election Commissioners and regional commissioners. How the appointment are held under this? So the President of India appoints the Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioner on the recommendation of 3-member selection committee in accordance with the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners under the Act of Conditions, Service and Terms of Office Act 2023. Who are the committee consisting of? The committee consists of the Indian Prime Minister, the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, a union minister proposed by the Prime Minister, and 5 names are recommended to the selection committee by a search committee led by the Cabinet Secretary. Also, the search committee suggested names are not required to be followed by the selection committee, which is free to consider any candidate. Also, it should be mentioned that in 2023, there was a recent change to the procedure for appointing the Chief Election Commissioner and the election commissioners. The Union government recommended their appointment by the President. What are the terms of this Election Commission of India? The election commissioners or the chief election commissioner serves nearly 6 years terms until they turn to 65 age years, which comes first as per the Election Commission under the Conditions of Service and Election Commissioners and Transaction of Business Act 1991. Now, what are the resignation procedures? The Chief Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioners may resign at any time by writing to the President in accordance with the Election Commissioner. How the removal procedures took place under this? The Chief Election Commissioner's removal is to subject to remove under the same procedure and criteria as the Supreme Court judge. The President may remove him or her based on the resolution approved by both the Houses of Parliament with a special majority, either for proven misconduct or incapacity. The regional commissioners and election commissioners are removed on Chief Election Commissioner recommendation. Any of the election commissioner or regional commissioner is removed from office. As a result, the election commissioners are not entitled to the Chief Election Commissioner security of tenure protector. Now, what are all the salary and allowance for them? The Chief Election Commissioner and 2 election commissioners are entitled to the same salary. Allowances and other benefits also same. As the Supreme Court judge, the Election Commission says that the election commissioners and the chief election commissioner salaries and allowance are determined under the Conditions of Service of Election Commissioners and Transaction of Business Act 1991. So now, what are the powers and functions of the Election Commission of India? It has various functions such as administrative function, advisory function, quasi-judicial function. So these are the some of the functions. Under the administrative function, it says that the section determines the boundaries of election constitutions in accordance with the Delimitation Commission of the Parliament, to compile and update electoral rolls on the regular basis and to register all eligible voters, also to send out election schedules and dates, and to carefully review nomination papers, also to give political parties official status and assign them election symbols, also to ascertain the MCC or the Model Code of Conduct, to compile a list of political parties, policies for radio and television promotion also have been done, to void surveys in case of booth capturing, rigging, etc. Also to ask the governor or president to order the personnel required to hold elections, to oversee the national election machinery in order to guarantee free and fair election. Also, it done to register political parties for election and bestow upon them the national or state party designation according to the results of their polls. Their advisory functions are to provide the President with advice on issues regarding the qualification of parliamentary members, also to counsel President on whether elections may be held in a state where President is in office, and the Council of Governor on issues pertaining to the disqualification on state legislature numbers. The third is quasi-judicial functions, to mediate disputes pertaining to the recognition of political parties and assignment of election symbols to them by serving a court. Also, the representatives to investigate disagreements regarding election arrangements. Now, what is the recent Supreme Court directions to the Election Commission is? The Supreme Court issued the following orders in the Anup Baranwal versus Union of Indian case 2023. It says that to guarantee the Election Commission independence and impartiality, the following 3 members of the committee will make recommendations for appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners. Who are they? Are the Prime Minister, the Lok Sabha leader of the opposition, and the Indian Chief Justice. So the other election commissioner should be removed on the same grounds as the chief election commissioner, which is based on same criteria as the Supreme Court judge and subject to the chief election commissioner's recommendation. What are the issues raised under this? The aforementioned elements of the ECI faces a number of additional difficulties that impair its impartial and efficient operation. Also, it follows a few of significant obstacles that Election Commission has to overcome, such as like political interference, restricted authority, election fraud and malpractice, election related violence, disinformation and fake news, and electoral reforms. These are some of the issues held under this. That's all from the topic of Election Commission of India. Now we'll move on to our next topic, that is delimitation. Here under the delimitation, what we are going to discuss is what is delimitation and why it is needed, who are all composed in this delimitation committee, and what are the functions of it and their duties and significance. Generally, this delimitation comes under the Election Commission of India. Now, what is delimitation? This is the act of the country's territorial constituencies to account for population shifts is known as delimitation. The Delimitation Commission needs to function without interference from the executive branch. This commission decisions must be final under the constitution and cannot be overturned in court, because doing so would cause an election to be postponed definitely. Once it laid, the orders of the Delimitation Commission cannot be altered by the Lok Sabha or the State Legislative Assembly. What is the need of this Delimitation Committee? It guarantees an equal representation for every segment of population. Also, it equally distributes of geographical areas to avoid giving any political party an advantage over other elections. Also, to follow the tenet of one vote, one value. So, who are the compositions under this delimitation? The Delimitation Commission is appointed by the Indian President and works in a tandem with the Indian Election Commission. Retired Justice of Supreme Court also composed in this Delimitation Committee, and the Chief Electoral Commissioner of all state electoral commissioners. Now, what are the process of this Delimitation Committee? It in the compliance with Article 82, the Parliament passes a Delimitation Act following every census. Under the Article 170, it states undergo a territorial constituency division in compliance with the Delimitation Act following every census. After the Act takes effect, the Union government establishes a Delimitation Commission. With the Election Commission help of the President carried out the first delimitation exercise in 1950-51. The Delimitation Commission Act was enacted in 1952. And these delimitation commissions were created nearly 4 times. When it was created in 1952, 1962, 1973 and 2002. When the 1981 and 91 census were conducted, the delimitation was not present. Now, what are the functions of this Delimitation Commission? The Delimitation Commission is a strong body whose ruling are enforceable. There is no way to change its ruling in this any court. No changes are permitted to the copies of the orders that submitted to the Lok Sabha and appropriate legislative assemblies. The number and boundaries of the constituents must be determined by the Delimitation Commission so that the greatest extent possible each seat has the same population. The Commission designates which seats in regions with significant population of scheduled tribes and scheduled castes are to be set aside for those committees. Also, the Commission releases draft proposals for public feedback in newspapers printed in regional languages in addition to the official state gazette and the Indian Gazette. It also hosts public meetings where anyone can attend and express their opinions verbally or in writing. Now, what are the duties of Delimitation Committee? By readjusting the representation of the various territorial constituencies in the House of People and Legislative Assembly of each state shall be responsibility of the Commission based on the data from the most recent population census. Now, the significance of this is a ruling made by Delimitation Commission of India is considered to have an absolute jurisdiction, meaning that it cannot be overturned by a court or a piece of legislation. Particular dates supplied by the Indian President, these directives from the Indian Delimitation Commission are being compiled with. The Delimitation Commission is an independent body supported by a legislation that operates outside the political parties and executive branch. Also, it determines the numbers and boundaries of constituencies in order to guarantee that the population is distributed fairly among all of them. It also finds the seats set aside for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in areas with a sizable population. And here there are some of the criticism also raised under this delimitation. They are: states may wind up with more seats in the House of Representatives if they don't care about the population control. Also, states in South that encouraged family planning may find themselves with fewer available seats. Despite delimitation being done in 2008 based on 2001 census, the number of seats in this assemblies and parliamentaries that were decided upon 1971 stayed the same. Growing populations are each represented by single representative with a maximum of 550 Lok Sabha seats and 250 Rajya Sabha seats as per the constitution. That's all from the delimitation topic. To get this PDF download, the link will be provided in the description. You can download from our Telegram channel. Thank you.